Alright, time to continue my coverage of 2021 sports ball anime. Also, card game animes are basically just sport animes. Just instead of a ball, you're using cards. Instead of a rival high school team, you're fighting eldritch abominations. With whatever children's game or toy that you can buy at this very moment. But I hope that will explain why Vanguard will feature in the second half of this review. But let's get to it with 2.43 Seinn High School Boys Volleyball Team. The series taking its name from the height of the volleyball net in the high school national tournament. Well, the series follows its two main leads, Kuroba and Hajime, two students that have to overcome their own personal issues so they can properly work with their team and win their prefecture spot in nationals. Kuroba has to deal with his habit of quitting whenever things get hard, while Hajime has to get over taking things too seriously and having a lot of issues properly communicating his thoughts. Them dealing with their melodrama makes up the first half of the series, and the second half is them doing the volleyball. The second half is the strongest of the two halves, as I'm not huge on the melodrama of the first half, as it feels padded out so they can get that clean mid-season split. But all of this pales to 2.43's biggest issue. It will always have to deal with the comparison to Haikyuu. I'll try to set aside my personal biases, as I am a Haikyuu fan, but simply put, 2.43 doesn't have the time or funding to really match up. Haikyuu has better characters, better animation, and more time to really show off the topic of volleyball. But that's not to say that 2.43 does any of this badly, but the only real feather it has for its cap is the stronger drama between its two mains. But I don't think it's a strong enough of a difference for anyone to recommend this series over Haikyuu. If you're fresh out of Haikyuu content and want some more volleyball anime, then here you go. But if you haven't seen Haikyuu yet, I would recommend checking that out before 2.43. Now, before we start the coverage of Cardfight Vanguard Overdress, I have to state a few facts. I have never touched this series before. I'm aware of it, but the only knowledge I had before watching was from Kodak's 7 Deadly Sins of Trading Card Games series, which I doubt painted the most positive image of the series. But I went in trying to keep an open mind as, hey, I enjoy card games. I spent my childhood collecting Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, fell into the brief chaotic hype in middle school, had my first experience with Magic in high school, and got really into Hearthstone in college. I even played briefly in the Killigate League before I graduated. But that's enough about me. Let's talk Vanguard. Overdress is the tie-in anime with a relaunch of Vanguard that was hoping to deal with the issues that have plagued the series before now. The series is about Yu, a 15-year-old kid who doesn't look anywhere close to 15, but he has confidence issues and is unable to really stand up for himself. But he runs off during one of the dress-up sessions his sisters like to put him through, leading him to meet the group of characters that make up Team Blackout, a group of Vanguard players who like to hang out at the abandoned amusement park. The most important of these players is Donji, who takes a liking to Yu and decides to help coach him and help develop his self-confidence. Of course, they do this by playing Cardfight Vanguard. The first issue that will pop up in this anime will be that it doesn't explain how the game works. So if you don't know how to play Vanguard, then you're up a creek, and probably need to look up a tutorial. This is a pretty big failing, as it makes it harder to inspire people to buy your product if they don't have a rudimentary understanding of how to play your game. Like, the anime tie-in for Yu-Gi-Oh! Only gives a basic explanation of the game and foregoing the complexity of deck building and win conditions outside of just hit really hard with your beat stick. But it was enough for kids to grab a starter deck and start playing without having to really read the rulebooks. But hey, Overdress does show its characters actually deck building, considering the cards they put into their deck, as well as just hanging out and having fun playing the game, instead of having to worry about fighting for the fate of the world. That's not to say that the series avoids that strange and dumb world of card game animes. Hi there, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Hiroshi Tanahashi. What are you doing here? But the series is mainly slice-of-life shenanigans, where characters deal with strife by playing a card game. Then the wheels come off in the last few episodes, as now there's a group burning team flags, and they have their eyes set on Team Blackout. This leads to a tonal shift as the villains start blowing stuff up and, making kids cry, which is quite a lurching tone, especially as we're coming off a monk jumping out of a helicopter. Frankly, the series needed to figure out what kind of story it wanted to tell. A series about friends playing Vanguard, showing how fun it is to play their game, or do a story about its characters using a children's card game to stop villains. I would have much preferred the former, as what's the best way to show, hey, this rework is real fun, by showing your characters having a lot of fun playing the game. Mother's Basement has a really good video on the topic of card game animes that I would recommend checking out, as it explains why I would like to see the former. But I think the series has some fun characters, and that gives the series something. Real shame I have to quantify that with some serious nitpicks. Episode 2 is just a girl telling Yu and Donji and thinking they're in a gay relationship, which I found quite grating because the entire episode of just, ha ha, they're gay, is not peak comedy in my eye. And yes, I know cultural differences, but Donji's an adult and shipping him with Yu is really gross. Also, the joke that, haha, everyone wants to date Yu when he wears a dress is not a joke I appreciate. But the series failed to get me interested in playing Vanguard, which is the biggest failing of a tie-in anime. Maybe if you're really into Vanguard, this may do something for you, but if you have no knowledge of the game, then you'll probably not like the series. The series story seems unsure as well, and the story at this juncture, at least in my eye, lacks a reason for you to go out of your way to experience it.